Hi there, my name's Greg, and today I'm going to be reading you a story. And the story is called Gizzy's Big Adventure, and it's written by Charlie Olson and illustrated by Mr. Hope. So, are you sitting comfortably? Then let's begin. Gizzy was a very lucky kitten. His mother Scampy was even luckier. She had been a straggly stray living on the streets for some time when a kind family took her in. "She must have a home somewhere," said the children, "because she's so fat." Their parents just looked at each other, knowing that she would soon present them with a problem. 5 little black and white problems, to be exact. The children were delighted. "Can we keep them? They're so sweet." "I'm sorry," said Mum. "There won't be room for them all to be happy here. Cats like their own space and to be able to live apart from other cats if they choose to. We just don't have enough room for them, each to have their own bowls, litter trays, scratching posts and beds. But don't feel sad. You can help take care of them for at least the next 8 weeks before we find them good homes." "How will we afford to pay the vet to give Scampy an operation to make sure she doesn't have any more kittens?" worried Dad that evening. His wife sighed and pointed out, patiently, "There are charities that will help neuter her if we can't, like Cats Protection. They will also find safe, loving homes for the kittens if we can't. So it will all be fine." And it was. The kittens grew fast and had endless games and cuddles with the children, who soon learned to be gentle with the tiny creatures. The messiest and most adventurous of the whole litter was Gizzy. He would get covered in his mother's food and chewed her ears when she was giving him a wash. He would jump up on his brothers and sisters while they were asleep because he wanted to play at chasing their tails. It was a lot more peaceful when he and his brother Archie went to their new home. Gizzy loved having more space and spent his days climbing, exploring and hiding. When he was 2 months old, his people put him in a basket and took him to the vet for injections to stop him getting some nasty diseases. At 4 months old, Gizzy went to the vet again to be neutered. Not that he knew, as he was asleep the whole time. Now Gizzy was allowed to go outside. He climbed up walls and trees and hid under bushes. Every day he explored further and further away from home. In spite of all his adventures, Gizzy was always pleased to be back in his home. He had his own food and water bowls and a litter tray for when he was shut in safely at night or when he was scared by other cats outside. There were a lot of quiet places to sleep, and his people always found time for cuddles, games and, best of all, brush time. However, none of this stopped him wanting to explore more of the outside world. One day, Gizzy saw an open door leading to a huge metal box on wheels. How exciting! It was full of boxes, a big sofa and a table with nice wooden legs. After a good scratch, it was time for a nap. And while he slept, the door was closed and the removal lorry set off on a long, wobbly journey. At last the movement stopped and the big door opened. The removal man didn't see the little furry shape darting past his feet. Gizzy could see well in the dark, but he didn't like what he saw. Where was he? He sniffed the air and turned his ears in every direction, but couldn't smell or hear anything familiar. Now he was scared, but he knew what to do. Hide. Gizzy watched from under a bush as the van was unloaded and the lorry drove away. He was very hungry now. He quickly discovered that mice were a lot harder to catch than toys or a shoelace, and not very filling. It started to rain, but there was nowhere better to shelter, so he spent a long, wet, miserable night longing for his home. In the morning, a door opened and a little girl came out. Clearly, she understood the language of cats, because she slowly blinked at him. So he happily blinked back and allowed her to scoop him up. "Mum," she called, "there's a soggy kitten in the garden. He's so cute." A moment later, the little girl's mother joined them under the umbrella. "Poor little thing, are you lost?" "Please, Mum, can we keep him?" begged the little girl. "Oh, Sophie, I'm sorry, but We need to try to find his owners as they'll be missing him. So Gizzy was taken inside and dried off with an old towel. Then he had some fresh water and something delicious that he had never tried before: cooked chicken. Sophie was disappointed they couldn't keep the kitten, but knew that if he had a home, his people would be looking for him. In fact, his people had spent all night calling for him and sticking pictures of him on lampposts, asking everyone to make sure he wasn't stuck in a shed somewhere. Luckily for Gizzy, Sophie's mum knew just what to do with the lost kitten. Take it to the vet. She looked at Sophie and said, "You can come too. Let's go and find out if this kitten has a home." Before long, Gizzy found himself being looked at by another vet who waved some sort of magic wand over him which went beep. The vet explained to Sophie that Gizzy had a microchip placed under the skin on the back of his neck which could tell him the address and phone number of Gizzy's family. It must have been put there during one of his earlier trips to the vet. After a phone call and a long wait, Gizzy smelt a familiar smell and heard familiar voices. His people! He was so excited to see them. But why was everyone crying? Sophie was crying because she was sorry to see him go, and his people were crying because they were so relieved to see him. When he finally arrived home, Gizzy went around the house, rubbing his face happily against all of his things, his people and his brother Archie, just to say, "I belong here. This is my home." I hope you enjoyed the story, and I hope you learnt a lot about cats. Wasn't Gizzy's adventure fantastic, exciting, and wasn't he lucky to be reunited with his family? Take care.